While our lounges are temporarily closed, we're so proud to bring the Blushington experience here to you virtually, and we've designed this virtual platform just so that we can share our knowledge of beauty and have some fun with everyone all over the country during this unprecedented time. We offer all kinds of services even to brides, so if you feel like you can't have a makeup artist with you at this time and you want some good advice during your big day, definitely talk to me because I can get you booked in with a really great person to help you out so you don't feel, too scared that day. But we're gonna go ahead and start getting into it, and I'm gonna show you how to do a bronze look that is going to shine even when you have to wear a mask. So if you haven't already gotten some things out, I like to always get started with my base, and I am using the Jouer Brightening Eyeshadow Primer. Mine is really worn because I use it a lot, so there's no more writing on mine, but we will link everything I talk about today so that everyone can see what I'm using for themselves online. Everything is available at blushington.com, and you're gonna get a special code to get the discount. Everyone likes sales, right? So I'm gonna put a little bit on my hand. I'm gonna go for a synthetic brush so I don't lose all my product. And I'm just going to get that on my eyes a bit. It's really important to use a good eyeshadow primer because it blocks out any of the darkness that we naturally have on our eyes. I'm just gonna use a beauty blender to blend that in a bit. And it basically means that whatever eyeshadow we decide to put on, we're getting the true color, the true pigment, and it's not mixing with any dark purple hues, yellow hues. We all have different skin tones, undertones. But we really want the pigment that we see in the palette and not something that's mixing or getting muddy with our own skin tone. I'm gonna start with my favorite Soft Glam palette by Anastasia. Again, mine is very worn because it's one of my favorites, so excuse the mess. And I am going to immediately go in with a nice fluffy brush because I just want a nice soft wash. I'm gonna go in with Tempera right here. Nice light color. And I'm going to apply this generously all over my lid because once again, I just want to brighten up the natural tone of my eyelid so that whatever color I put on next looks exactly how it does in the palette. It doesn't look gray or washed out. It does also depend on your eyeshadow. The formula, believe it or not, does matter. You might get an eyeshadow that's more difficult to blend out than others, and you might be wondering why you're struggling. It might be the eyeshadow. Try some new ones. This one is very pigmented. So anyone who has a heavy hand, you do have to be a little bit more careful with certain eyeshadows because you might get too much and have some difficulty blending. If you are someone who has a heavy hand, I suggest holding your brush on the back of your brush, the end of your brush, just because you're a little bit lighter with yourself and more gentle, less pressure. Now that my eyes are nice and bright, and I've kind of canceled out any shadow on the top, I am going to go in with a little bit of a lighter color. I'm gonna go in with this Dusty Rose. I don't like to just use one color when I'm doing bronze. I like to use a lot of colors, and if you blend good enough, no one should be able to tell how many you're using, but since we're here, might as well have fun, right? I'm gonna put this in the outside corner of my eye. I like to call this like a little outside V, and I'm going to find my crease and kind of blend down into the outside corner of my eye. Now that I've applied that where I want it and where I want most of the pigment, I'm gonna move my hand back so that I kind of relieve some of that pressure to help blend. And then I very lightly kind of circular small motions go towards my nose. And you'll see I have a very light, Just a light wash. Now, right before everything kind of shut down again with the pandemic, a friend and I had traded services, and she had did my eyelashes, and now that we are closed back down, they are all looking funky. So I did add some lashes today. I am not this lucky or blessed, I promise. Don't feel bad. I will be doing another demo later about how to apply eyelashes. So if you are somebody like me who's kind of like wishing that you could have your lashes done, then I will gladly show you how to do that later. I really like this dusty rose color because it actually has a little bit of a purple hue to it. Now this is a good color on everybody, but if you have brown eyes, things that have purple or plum in them are really gonna bring the other colors in your eye out. And this dusty rose is a really great example of a very natural plum purple shade that you can wear that's not gonna, be too bright and still be really natural and still bring out your eye color. Also great for green eyes. I like to use it as a transition color. I'm gonna add just a bit more to my crease. Now you can, if you don't have a lot of makeup brushes, I like to say get like a little piece of cotton or something and try to dust off your brush in between colors, because you can really easily start making things muddy if you're not, brushing them off in between or you have excess color on them. I, of course, have tons of brushes, so I'm gonna grab a new one, but just know that you don't have to. I am next gonna actually go in with this orange soda. When doing bronze or sun-kissed looks, I really like to stick to warm tones. And anything with orange kind of reminds me like of a sunset. And I'm really just gonna dust this all over my lid, this orange soda, because I kind of want that nice subtle orange to peek through the other colors that I'm gonna be using, just so I can get that really nice blend and a really beautiful smoky eye. I think this bronze look is something you could do in the daytime, for a Coachella, or if you're on your couch at home, a Fauchella. Throw on some music and just enjoy yourself. But I really, really love the way that the dusty rose and the orange soda blend together. Now this is just, I'm working from one palette right now. I am gonna throw in another palette just because I really love a golden tone in one of the Jouer palettes I have from Blushington. But now that's just really, really nice and soft. I don't know if you guys can see that. And if you have questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Now I'm gonna use the same brush because the next color I'm gonna use is very similar to the one that I just put on. It's just a bit darker. So I just went in with the orange soda. I am using the Soft Glam palette from Anastasia of Beverly Hills, and you can purchase this. Oh, thank you so much. You can purchase this at blushington.com. Yes, if you don't have orange, and depending on your skin tone, I really, really like to use purples. You can use deep plums. You can even use red if you've got a deeper skin tone, or if you're more tan or olive toned. I know it sounds crazy, but a red really is great. I'm gonna be working with the sienna today, which is kind of a red brown, but let me show you some other alternatives in case you're at home and you've got, you're limited. And also, let's talk about this. I like to use these palettes just to, kind of show the difference. But if you're concerned about whether you're a cool tone or warm tone person, I suggest if you are on the cooler tone side to use cooler tone colors. This right here is the exact same palette by Becca, also available at Blushington. Here is the cool tone version. Here is the warm tone version. So as you can see, this has more of a gray. This has more of a brown, red on the other side of the spectrum here. So these kinds of colors, burgundies, reds, orange, really good with deeper skin tones. I'm using the orange soda because I really like the way that it looks with bronze. I think that a little bit of orange peeking through is really cute. You could probably find something similar in a bronzer. But I'm going to go in now. I went in with orange soda. Now I'm going to go in with the burnt orange. So it's just a darker version of the the orange soda. And I'm going to place that into my crease because I really want my darker colors to be in the crease. Closer to my lash line. And again, if you don't have orange, you can also take a peek at your blushes. Well, not everyone has blush, but if you do have blush, I always use blush in place of eyeshadow, and that really gives you a warm feel. Now I'm going to use a smaller brush. I want to use a smaller brush because I really want to have more control over my color. I'm trying to see if I can get you guys the number of these, but all of my brushes have the numbers rubbed off. Here we go. Here's a Bdellium 754. This will work as well. I'll use this instead just so that I'm working with what you guys maybe have. I'm going to go in with the Sienna, which is a very red-orange color. And I'm going to apply that really close to my lash line and in that V area once again. Now, if you ever get too much, don't worry. Blend down towards your lashes. That way you don't like get it all over your eye. We've all been there where we've like tried to blend something out and we've blended it so much to the point where it's like up in our eyebrow and there's just like, okay, am I gonna take this off or can I make this any better? If that happens, just leave it, grab a clean brush or a clean finger and really go in and try and blend that out. You'd be surprised what a clean brush can do for you. I always suggest if you have a favorite brush, like if you get a full brush roll and you find that you're using one or two brushes way more than the other ones, then start buying the ones that you use the most. Start purchasing the ones that you're gonna have to replace more often. I think I've got like 3 of each of my favorite brush, and I do use the other ones, but on myself, there's certain brushes that I feel like, I can't use that come with a brush roll or that I bought separately. So I really, really like this nice kind of sunsetty look. I'm going to blend that out just a bit because I see where it needs a little bit more. And now we're going to go in with my favorite shimmer. Now, a lot of people are afraid to wear shimmer, but I promise you everybody can. It's just all about placement. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go in with this Fairy in the same palette right here, right next to the Dusty Rose that I used to start with. And I'm going to put this all over the lid. But I'm going to try to keep it towards the center and the middle, or excuse me, the center and the inner corner of my eye, closer to my tear duct area. I really like the way yellows, golds, oranges kind of blend together. I love to play with color. I used to be scared to wear color, especially because I have a bit of a hooded eye. For warm olive skin, you honestly have so many options. Olive skin looks great with everything. You can do everything from like a green smoky eye to a red smoky eye. If you're a little bit on the deeper side and you really want something to pop, I honestly suggest going for the blush that you like to use if you're having trouble finding an eyeshadow that you feel like works for you. I know that's like a really big struggle for a lot of people, finding a good warm tone on their eye. They either feel like it's too orange or too red or even too pink. And, you know, we don't really walk around with like hot pink eyeshadow every day. So I totally feel your pain. But again, something dusty with some purple hues in it looks really good on Olive. I also would suggest some red tones. This mulberry here, really beautiful for a, you know, kind of a sunsetty, warm, smoky eye. And again, also your bronzer. Your bronzer you can never go wrong with. So now that I have that, I really, really love this look, but I want to balance out my eyes. So I'm going to go in with something a bit smaller so that I have some more control. Nice and small. And I'm going to go back and use the same colors that I started with, Sienna, Dusty Rose, and I'm going to go right under into my lash line. I struggle to keep eyeliner and whatnot on. I find that adding powder to your lashes kind of keeps your mascara from moving. And if you're going to do a really smoky eye, I always suggest also doing your face last. Today I came on with a little face makeup, but normally I would suggest doing your smoky eyes first, just because this fallout is just kind of a pain to deal with and have to go back and clean up. So if you do struggle with that. I also close my eyes sometimes because, again, I am kind of a panic blinker, and my cute eyeliner will go from perfectly in place to all over my face in 1 second if I'm not careful. I'm going to go back in now with a deeper color because I don't like to use eyeliner on the bottom. I'm going to go in with this rustic here. It's kind of like a gray brown. This is really good on all skin tones as well. And I'm going to get the inner corner of my eye and I'm going to take it all the way to the middle of my eye on the bottom. Not all the way around because I don't want to make my eyes look closed off or too small. I want to go back in with something that's going to brighten that area up. Going back in with a small little pencil brush, Bdellium Tool 780. And I'm going to go in with this really pretty bronze color. Right there. And I'm going to, once again, get my lash line and get it closer to the inner corner of my eye. Basically, the closer to the inside corner of my eye I get, the lighter and brighter I want this colors to be. I'm gonna go back in with some Fairy. And if you're finding, you know, struggling with your glitter, you can use a little setting spray on your brush to kind of liquidize your eyeshadows. You can see that right there. That makes it easier. I'm gonna pop that into my inner corner. When it comes to eyeliner, I do have to use something waterproof because I do have allergies, and I find that as I get older, the makeup I use kind of doesn't always work the same way, or it makes me water. So I have to be more gentle with myself. I can't be tugging on myself all the time like I used to. I think this look would also be beautiful, honestly, on any color skin. I think that there is no skin tone that is not able to wear a certain color or a certain style of makeup. I think that it's just about placement and getting colors with the right undertone. We do have other classes if you feel like you know, you're not familiar with what your undertone is. Does anyone have questions? As I clean up my undershadow. And I'm just doing so with a little bit of translucent powder. Thank you so much. If you have a warm or a cool tone, you're gonna, I know it's kind of confusing if you aren't familiar with the color wheel, But you can always actually look at your veins. If you look at your veins and you've got a purple or a green tone, then most likely you are a little bit on the olive side. If you have really blue veins or very, very purple veins and they're showing up a lot, then you probably have a cooler tone. If you can't tell at all what color your veins are, then you're probably neutral, and you could stick to neutral things. This works for your foundation too, guys. I can always get into like a deeper conversation if we meet in a one-on-one type of a class, but that's a quick way to tell your undertone. And you can use it with everything, even blush. Another one of my favorite blushes is this Sunset, the Neo Blush from Kevyn Aucoin. I mean, you just look at that color and you just think of summer in my head. So I'm gonna grab a fluffy brush. I'm gonna put a little tiny bit over top my eyes because I really like that kind of monochromatic look where everything matches and blends in together. And then I'm gonna get a little angled brush from Bdellium. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add it to the back of my cheek because I'm already pretty cheeky. I don't really need too much help in that department. But in the summertime, I do like to fake that kind of like I've been outside look, especially during this pandemic when I haven't been outside at all. You wanna get a little bit on your nose. You even wanna get a little bit closer to your nose than you normally would if you were just contouring, because you wanna kind of mimic that sun-kissed look. If you get too much, that's okay. You can get a buffing brush and you can really get in there and buff your makeup. Don't be scared. What bear am I using right now? Let's see. I think you're asking blush. The blush I'm using is the Kevyn Aucoin Sunset Neo Blush. You can find this on Blushington. If you're interested in taking a class with me, you can go to the website, blushington.com. You can actually choose who you'd like to take a class with if you have a preference, but I assure you that everyone is amazing. Now that I've got that nice little, like, I've been outside look, I'm gonna just go in with a little bronzer. This is from Galactic. It is Casablanca, one of my favorites. And you really wanna work your bronzer into your hairline. A lot of people think contour and bronzing is the same. It's not. You want to kind of put the bronzer where the sun would naturally hit you, which would be, you know, the top of your head, up on your cheekbones, a little tiny bit on your nose. If you want to kind of give yourself a more uplifted shape, I suggest putting your bronzer not lower than your ear. If you do it lower than your earlobe, you're gonna drag your face down. Now, mind you, it doesn't necessarily matter with a mask on. If I just wanted to go like this, I could. But these days they've got like dining that you can do outside. And you have to take your mask off to eat, so you wanna look still good when you take it off. And I really wanna marry that bronzer with that blush. You can't forget highlight when you are doing a bronzy look or a summertime look. One of my very, very favorite of all time highlighters is the Becca Liquid Skin Perfector. I like Moonstone and I like Opal for when I'm a little bit more tan. You guys can kind of see that. But you can mix it in with your foundation to get an all over glowy look, or you can just use it as a regular highlight. I put a little on my hands. I'm gonna dab some on my nose, cheekbones, up into my eyebrow bone. I also like to use highlighter on my top lip if I'm not wearing a mask. I know this doesn't really matter with a mask on, but it does kind of help you get that nice full look on the lips without having to overdraw anything. My very favorite mascara is from Kevyn Aucoin as well. You can see a trend here. And it is the Volume Mascara. I really like it because it is so thin that you can really get all of your lashes. I never go in straight with the bottom right from the tube. I always use the excess that's left from my top lashes on the bottom. The highlighter is called Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in liquid, also found at Blushington.com. We also have the pressed version, and I honestly love highlighter so much that depending on the day, I might wear both liquid and powder highlight. You just have to be careful and sparing with it. That way you just don't look like really sweaty. Just be gentle with yourself. Honestly, that's the key. If you're not experienced with makeup, don't be afraid to really get in there and try something new. Just give yourself enough time in case you mess up, because there's a fix for everything. Now I'm going to set myself with some setting spray. And if I go ahead and put my mask on, I have a finished look. And you can still, you know, I still stand out in a crowd. So I encourage you guys to not give up on makeup just because we have to wear masks. I promise that, you know, you can still go out and look great, take some pictures, and very natural. Thank you. You know, use your mask as an accessory. Match your makeup to your mask. I hope you guys enjoyed today. If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You can always ask me a question through Blushington as well. You can book classes with me. I'm so happy that I got to talk to all of you guys today. I hope you learned something, and I can't wait to talk more and share more tips and tricks with you. Thank you. I'll put my code here in the bottom for you guys. Don't forget to go to Blushington.com. Go to Blushington.com and you can get free shipping, 20% off. And we have tons of different brands. Brands I talked about today: Becca, Anastasia of Beverly Hills, Kevin Aquan, one of my absolute favorites. If you guys have questions, feel free to find me on Instagram through Blushington. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.